Okay.
Yep. Okay. With that, this is the panel on commercialization within Upland and Metaverse and MetaVentures. And a lot of people have questions, which they told me offline in the break that we took. But to kick it off, let's start off with how does commercialization or MetaVentures look within Upland, right? So before I hand it over to my panelists, essentially what that means to sell within Upland or commercialization within Upland is to create, for now, digital assets and sell them using Upland. Now, we've seen a lot of use cases for charity events. Uplando organized one. I think there have been other team members that have helped organize that for Upland. We've had UNICEF, we've had the breast cancer awareness, we've had a lot of them that we've done. We did one for Children's Hospital that Uplando helped organize last New Year's or Christmas, I believe. And so we see a lot of use cases within charity. We see a lot of use cases within other spheres. There are many companies within Upland. Some are very open about it. Some are just looking at Upland, whether something can work out, whether something can't work out. A lot of our panelists, in fact, have their own MetaVentures within Upland. So when you think about it, let's start it off with our MetaVenture owners. And I think almost all of them are MetaVentures owners. So TML, why don't you start it off and sort of give us a brief understanding on how to look at commercialization within Metaverse and Upland specifically.
Yeah, so the MetaVentures is a very interesting space. I myself am very lucky to be one of the 8 decor business owners in the game that's actually able to manufacture my own decor items. So I run the
Not for long.
World.
I'm coming for you.
Good luck, brother. Good luck. So I have an UpX World manufacturing plant, and I think really it's about marketing your area. It's about getting supply as well. So in the case of outdoor decor, it's a little different because you're manufacturing it and then advertising and selling it. So maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later in the panel, because I think overall, like the normal MetaVenture process is, even if you do get like an outdoor decor shop now, it's buying it or collecting it from other things. So your FIFA outdoor decor, your gnomes, things like that, your block explorers, your NFLPA, it's mostly a secondary sale. So you need to find either supply or have your own supply, and then constantly be pushing it, running contests. It's a lot of work. And the interfaces and stuff like that are still very rudimentary. So I would say it's awesome and you should try and get one, but know that it's not easy money. It's not free money. It's not like some, golden spoon that just prints UpX for you. Like, it's work. And so I would just caution anybody from judging MetaVenture owners of being like, oh, you guys should. No, there's nothing easy about it. This is very early days. It's very frustrating. People are spending a ton of time and money and effort. Droopy ain't cheap. You trying to get those flyers made, you trying to get that, you got to pay the toll man. You got to go, man, I need that droopy design. You got to get the drip from the droop. That's what I say. But yeah.
Thank me later. Those of us, I own an NFLPA shop. I think Musita and Uplando own block shops. I think the outdoor decor shop is the most, I would say, like advanced at this point. It's the most technical. Help all of us understand all that goes into that, because this is one of the few where you don't just own a single building. You own a manufacturing plant and you own the showroom where you actually sell these items, and there's Spark involved in creating these items. It's by far it's like 10 times more advanced than any of the other current meta ventures. Walk us through, because you're only one of 8 people who actually see what this looks like on the back end. Walk us through what that looks like a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a couple main components to it, like you mentioned. So first, the base thing is you have to create these models, right? And so if you've participated in, say, the decorating contest or anything where you have to submit these models, there are very specific and rigid requirements on what your model must be and how it must be formed. You have to submit that to the Upland team to get approved. At which point you get essentially like a blueprint, and that you define like the name and the rarity. So how many mints you can decide, is it there are 100 mints of it, 10,000 mints? Like you have to, there is a lot more thought and effort. Plus you actually have to define, and this is something that definitely is not super public, like you have to define your set up front. So for instance, my test tube, like the one that I have now is a test tube statue, and it's cement. But like you have to tell them if you're going to make a range of them. So if I wanted to make a gold one and a bronze one and whatever, you have to tell them up front. You don't have to have the models done, but you have to say, this is the series of test tubes. Here's the different kind of versions, and here's the mints for all of them, because they lock that in as a set ahead of time. Which means like I had somebody reach out to me from Chocolate City, like, dude, let's make a chocolate version. I actually can't make it because I didn't pre-do it. So like I would have to make a completely different model or something. And it has to be fundamentally different. And so like that was a large part. And you know what, as much as, you know, we're all friendly and competitive, shout out to, you know, Aquatic Samurai. Like they have, I think, probably the most approved models, and are manufacturing some really cool stuff. Although there's, I shouldn't say that, because I mean, there's a lot of people that actually have more approved models than me. I have been focusing, my strategy is a lot different than other the decor meta ventures, but so once you get the model approved and you do the mints, the second piece is they're going to tell you how many spark hours that item takes to create. So the bigger it is, the more complex it is, the material that it's made out of determines how many spark hours it takes to manufacture. So that, and you don't know that up front, which makes it difficult, but you kind of have to look at, you know, do you want complex high value items, or are you trying to mass produce tiny items in bulk? And so you get that number, and then, yeah, then you get these factories. Here's the thing, by the way, quick aside, do not build a factory. I'm going to take this 10-second PSA. If you're building a factory now, please stop, destroy it. Go do something else with your Spark. Don't build a factory. We are so far away from needing factories at scale. Don't do it. Don't waste your Spark. Go build an apartment. Honest to God, there's an oversaturated amount of factories. Like, just don't do it. You won't need them anytime soon. Anyway, so you get your factory. Factories run on staked Spark. So this is where it definitely gets interesting. The small factory has a capacity of 2 Spark. So right now, the UpXWorld Genesis Manufacturing has a capacity of 2 Spark. I have 2 Spark staked there, and you can have up to like 5 items in queue. And so I pump out about 5 statues every 5 days. So it's about a statue a day. Now I just completed a large manufacturing facility. Well, I completed a medium one, and then I reached out to the team like, okay, can I switch? And they're like, well, just so you know, it's a very long wait time to actually switch factories because they're still working on the back end tremendously. And so Jen was like, you're probably better off, you know, building a large one, because the small is 2 max spark. The medium, I think, is 10 max spark. And the large, I thought, was 20, but I'm hearing from Ben, who has one, that it might be 25. So when you think about, yeah, massive, which I don't even have 25 spark myself. So when I get it over there, I don't know that I'll even be able to max spark it. And right now you can't cross, like I can't outsource that. So, but from a manufacturing perspective, I went from, you know, it was going to take me like 3 years to manufacture all of my statues. Now I'm going to be 10x plus. I'll be able to do it in 3 months. And so that does change the scale of how fast things are going to operate. But again, please don't be building a factory. You're not going to need them anytime soon. When the time comes, there's going to be so many on the market and you'll be able to build them quick enough. So that's that part. And that just auto prints onto your land. They just go boop, boop, boop. You get a little notification. Your items have been made. You have to maintain the queue, make sure that your items are being printed, that you don't have an empty factory not producing anything. Then the tedious part. This is super tedious. Unlike other NFTs in the game, the outdoor decor must be placed on a property. And so, which means when you want to move items, you have to select it, you have to select the property, you have to then place it there. And that takes a ton of time right now. So moving like 100 of these tiny items from one property to another, just to get to your showroom, because your showroom has to have the item on the property. Unlike other meta ventures where your inventory is in the building, right? Where your apartment has all of your block explorers, you have to have the physical space to house your inventory outside of your showroom. Nothing goes in it. Then when you go, you can then list it in the showroom for sale. So it's a massive process to get everything done. And so I would say you need to, if you're interested in outdoor decor, which almost everybody is because it's super fun and interesting and profitability wise can be huge, but you have to keep in mind, people are spending a ton. Like these models are not cheap. If you can't do them yourself, like I paid, I have a team from Fiverr that I pay that do most of my models because it's very tedious and they know the procedure now. So they have it locked down. And like you think it's like, oh, you're just printing UpX. You're really not, because you're investing a lot of time and effort up front. But then you got to think of your strategy. What is your goal of your item? Most are just really cool looking, right? We know you have like the barbecue furniture, you have the really cool Greek statues, there's outhouses, dog houses, flags, all kinds of really cool decoration. You look at mine and my buddy Too Stupid, who also has one, they're pretty generic. It's a test tube cement statue. He's got an anvil statue. Like they're super generic. I sell mine for 111,000 UpX or $111. I only ever have one of each for sale in USD and UpX, and I regularly sell them because my strategy is fundamentally different because it's all about enabling it in layer 2. It looks okay on layer 1, but everything we're doing is designed that when you're playing in UpX world, if you have this item, that will then turn into a blacksmithing or an alchemy station or have some sort of potion shop. And then that will partake in a revenue share. So my plan with the decor is that.
Can I sort of butt in?
Yeah.
You said that you sell it for $100 odd, right? Can you talk us a little bit through your metrics? How many sales do you do a month? How many recurring sales do you have? If you're willing to talk about the revenue that you guys have, just so we can get an understanding of the market size within Upland for commercial.
Well, I'm a terrible example. I don't sell many because I give most of the ones that are in the wild, I've given away. I maybe sell 1 or 2 a month or a week, maybe, because I'm not trying to sell them though. Like my model is terrible. However, I know for a fact, like aquatic decor, they're selling for like 20 to 50,000 UpX, and they go through it pretty quick. And the statues and stuff, I mean, they're moving it because they're unique and like they're really cool. So, I mean, I don't know what their numbers are, but like I'm running at a loss. Like,
let me sort of ask this. So sorry to butt in there later. Let me ask the panel this, because see, a lot of people want to understand commercialization, right? And it all boils down to, even though we love the innovation, it does boil down to the numbers. It does boil down to the metrics. So if we're trying to understand, and if essentially I'm asking people, okay, why don't you consider setting up a meta ventures? Can any of the panelists, perhaps Upland or Loyal, can any of you give us some numbers on how much an average meta ventures can make in revenue?
Yeah, I'll take it and then I'll pass it over to Loyal Doyle. Along with TML, there was outdoor decor and block explorer shops. These meta ventures are application-based businesses with Upland. So if you're on Discord, if you're on the website, if you're in game, you will see the announcement. If you're watching the roadmap on the website, you will see that there's certain meta ventures that are going to become available. When outdoor decor and the block explorer shops became available for application, we put our applications in. We were alerted that we were told that we had the meta venture, 10 of each, and I want to try and very quickly disseminate and tell everybody how this works as far as a stream of revenue. Meta ventures are in several different things, as TML was pointing out. One is a stream of revenue. I have a digital asset that is an NFT. In the Block Explorer shop meta venture, you do not create block explorers. The game, Upland, creates the block explorers. Block explorers are also created when you become a director. You can submit for a one-of-one block explorer. These block explorers are your avatar that moves throughout the game. Block explorers do have mint numbers, they have rarity to them, and they will also be that which we understand will operate the MV motor. So you will send your block explorer through a driving academy, something of that nature. Now, when you as a shop owner, if you don't own the block explorer, if you have not purchased it, remember, we are all purchasing these. There is no distribution wholesale outfit that I go and buy a block explorer or 10 block explorers or a dozen block explorers for a specific discounted rate like you would in any other business. I have to either purchase them, win them, or somehow acquire these in a trade so that I can then put those in my shop for sale. I can then receive the full amount of that sale. If you are a player that has a block explorer that you won in a contest or you acquired, and you use the sub-merchant account to put a block explorer on sale at my shop, the most I can charge through the shop is a maximum of, I believe, 10%. So that is all, as a shop owner, I'm going to receive off the total sale of your block explorer. So think about that. You as a shop owner, you generally want to make the most profit. You want to buy low and sell high. In this scenario for block explorers, to keep competitive, you mostly can't sell it at that 10%, at that margin. You have to lower it into that 5% so that you can gain attraction and gain customers. Of course, the more that you have in terms of helping people and customer service, you'll gain their business. But generally, you're making 5% for every sale of a block explorer. That's just that meta venture. Outdoor decor is player creator content assets that are able to sell these pieces of decor, and they can have different utility to them, as TML was speaking. I want to move on into a couple other types of business, because this is what we're talking about. And I'll do this very quickly. There's two more streams, or otherwise there are ways to work with Upland for business. That could be a direct partnership with Upland. If you have intellectual property, if you have some type of sports franchise or any other type of franchise. We've seen it with the dance school in Brazil. We've seen this with soccer, football, and then American football with NFLPA. But there are opportunities for someone, a sole individual that has an intellectual property, to work with business development in Upland by contacting them and presenting them a very short, concise, otherwise that would be a direct stream of revenue of business that would allow a player to not have to go through the meta ventures application, that process in game. So there are these opportunities for everyone that's starting in the game that wants to have a business, a stream of revenue. Really have to identify what your strength is in business, what role you want to play, and where in business You may not want to be all things to all people, the full vertical, the whole thing. You may only want to offer certain parts of the business, like Droopy does with the designs of the logos. He is an integral part of this chain of business, so the supply chain. Think of it absolutely like you would in any normal business, everyday business, and what you can offer to those who are in business, learn from them, join those groups, put your skill set to the test, and then see if it's for you. I think that the Real Note LA and Elijah, he'll be able to speak to this on maybe on how he did that with his stream of revenue and how he's working to that, as well as Loyal Doyle. But that's my 2 cents worth for this.
Tyler, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, great job, Ablando. I don't know if I have much to add there.
Well, I think
yeah,
that
there's
you, Loyal Doyle, you do what you do by the means of which you're a broadcaster and you have your own stream of revenue. So please continue.
Well, how much are you
Yeah,
guys
and-
making in these shops? How, like,
Yeah.
5%? Like, what's your monthly revenue looking like?
It's not a lot, especially because I'm in NFLPA legits, and the other issue is I don't. It might be something I get out of and get into something else. I was excited about the opportunity. I probably invested more than most people into the NFLPA legit, so I thought I might as well own a shop where I can sell these, because I have my own massive collection. But I'm actually selling a lot of other players who come in and maybe want to sell some of theirs under mint or things like that. It's not a huge revenue stream. Honestly, if I didn't have my YouTube channel and the marketing behind it, I don't know that it would even be worth having it. So I think there's 2 things that come into play. One is the type of shop that you open. Make sure you have a lot of knowledge. Like if you're going to open a football shop, soccer shop, like know a lot about that sport, or NFLPA, know a lot about the NFL and actually know which players have value, which, and I'm not about to spend time watching football because that's not something I really do, but I know enough about it to know like which ones have a ton of value. But I will say it is about community. It's about getting people involved in your project. It's going to be really hard to do on your own. And yeah, those of us who are broadcasters and do create content, we have a little bit of an advantage because we have marketing behind it. But then you have other people who've built these massive communities, like Portage Park, and there's just so many people in that node that anything they do, that like just the community, what's happening on Discord as far as marketing alone is really big for them. And so you can't just think that because you get a meta venture and you list stuff for sale that you'll do really well. However, you can compete on price, right? If you find a way to acquire a lot of these assets for a really good deal, there are websites, really great third-party websites out there that will tell you, oh, here, look, you can find the lowest cost block explorer of this type in this shop, or the lowest cost NFLPA legit in this store. And so that is one way to do it, I would say, without marketing, is if you're able to, just compete on price. But that can be an issue as well, because that's kind of a race to the bottom in an economy, is when you're, that's why we can buy t-shirts today on the beach for, $2 or $5 for, when I was in Las Vegas at Genesis Week, I was walking back from the hotel and it's like three t-shirts for $10, and I'm like, okay. So it's just like different. My point is, with that, markets that are really saturated, like it's, if you're just going to compete on price, it's going to be a race to zero eventually. But if you can, in some cases, that's great. That's a great way to make a quick buck.
Elijah, do you want to add to that?
Sure. One thing that I wanted to talk about is business model in Upland. You know, you have to definitely, each individual has to approach it individually. You know, if you come into Upland and open up a meta venture, you're not gonna to make enough money from that one meta venture to feed your family. Upland is about multiple revenue streams. So everybody here on the panel has multiple revenue streams. One would be the actual Upland properties themselves. So without doing anything, your Upland property generates 14% interest. So without doing anything at all, your property generates interest. And then in addition to that, one meta venture would generate a little bit more UPX. So it would be multiple streams. And another example, I have a gallery with a Real Note gallery. Within that gallery, we have advertising space. So you'll see other products on the wall and people paid for advertising space. So that's another stream of revenue as far as how you utilize this space. This
With that
space is a
point,
digital. Go ahead.
Elijah, actually, sorry to cut you off. With that point, and I remember we were having this conversation when I interviewed you for Reading Between the Lines. How far do you think the photos and videos are in terms of the integration with Upland? And do you think that is gonna sort of bring another mode of monetization for meta ventures and commercial activity within Upland?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand your question. You said how long are photos and videos? What did you say about photos and videos?
Do you think that photos and videos can be a medium for monetization for meta ventures and entrepreneurs within Upland and Metaverse
Absolutely.
as a whole?
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be so many, a variety of business opportunities, just as many as there are on Earth. I mean, Upland is the digital representation of Earth. So not every job is the same on Earth and not every business is the same in the metaverse. As far as photos and video, I'm a licensed commercial drone pilot in the US. So what that means is that I can fly my drones commercially and take aerial photographs and actually sell them legally. So I actually brought my aerial drone photos to the metaverse, and they're on the Wax blockchain. I have a Wax blockchain whitelisted collection. So those are actually being offered for sale now in the gallery as an additional stream of revenue. You'll know you have and I actually forgot to even mention it because eventually you have so many different streams that it may be hard to remember each individual way the money is coming in when you're talking to someone. But you'll have everything listed out and you'll know how much you bring in every month, type of thing.
Absolutely. Musida, do you have something to add to that?
Yes, I think in my experience of having a Block Explorer shop, at this point, we don't have a lot of usage for Block Explorer, but we are going to. Block Explorers, for example, are going to be the pilots or drivers of the cars on racing. So sometimes the shop, the meta ventures are like a season stuff. When FIFA come to Upland, I sold a lot of Block Explorers because we have Block Explorer of every country on the FIFA World Cup. So now I'm not selling anything, but maybe next month another partnership comes and they produce Block Explorer, so I'm gonna sell them again a lot. And maybe you have to think about that also. Maybe your meta venture is something that you're gonna sell a lot in some period of time, and you're gonna maybe stay 1 month without selling anything, but it's okay. It's like Elijah said, it's another string, another way to get money or get UPX from the game. You have to, of course, you have to take some time to take care of your meta venture. Is not something that you can just throw there and wait. You have to have a minimum time and experience. Like a lawyer that said, if you are going to have something in soccer or NFL, you have to know about that to put good prices, to get the right legends to sell. And but it's something, it's worth it. I think if you want to have a meta venture and think about everything we said here, it's worth it, but it's hard. Also hard to keep it, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. With that, I'll move on to Drupi. Drupi, you essentially are the supply chain for all the meta ventures, right? All the metaverse entrepreneurs come to you to get their designs. Well, maybe not all, but a lot of them. And you essentially are the backbone of a lot of meta ventures. So how do you look at this whole sphere? And if you are talking to someone who's maybe sitting in this room in India and considering creating a meta ventures, what's your advice to them? How do you think about it? What's your thought pattern of this?
Yeah, from my perspective, it's a little bit different from everyone else. Everyone else kind of right now is expressing how to build a meta venture from the tools that we have at hand. But a lot of what I do, there's just not a tool for. I'm providing a service outside of Upland for things inside of Upland. So it's kind of limbo for me. I would say if you're addressing wanting to start a meta venture, what you've got, the information you guys have gotten from these guys is outstanding. I think I don't know how you could expound upon that. It's you've really got to do your research. It's the same with nodes. You don't want to jump into something, just jump into them because they're there, and you've got to understand what they are and why what your goal is, what your end goal, and what you expect out of it yourself, or else it'll probably end up failing like any other business in life. So, but from my perspective, it's kind of difficult. I myself, I'm not sure how to provide my service in Upland. I'm not even sure that I'm doing it within terms of service. Sometimes I want to be careful that I don't trade in-game assets for my service. That was something that I originally wanted to do and still want to do. That's where I'd prefer to do it. I'd like to keep my Upland services all in game, but yeah, for starting a meta venture.
I don't think that's against terms of service, though, is it? If you build a design for someone, they can pay you in UPX, right? That's totally valid.
Or asset. It's 0% against. It's 0%.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it's still enough in that gray area where it makes me a little uncomfortable every time that it's an asset trade.
Promise, you go to Alcatraz, we'll all come fight for you. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to Alcatraz for that. In fact, I would argue. Yeah, I would argue that that's actually one of the key components to the economy is outside services. Like I know you're calling it kind of obscure and kind of different, but I would argue there's almost just as much opportunity to make money providing services for Upland, for example, but and possibly more. Yeah, because like, for example, I've had people pay me to run an ad for their game, for whatever they're building in Upland, for me to promote it on my YouTube channel, right? And so that's a whole other revenue stream, is marketing. You know, those of us who are broadcasters and other people with, you know, the Metaverse Street Journal has a website. I mean, those are ad spaces. Those are places where you can have and host advertising, right? And so, yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity, not just inside of Upland, but to provide services for people that can really benefit them.
Yeah, and my goal there was not to scare anyone away from meta ventures. I mean, we just need to come together and discuss these types of things.
Yeah,
so
you should follow Drupi. He probably makes more than every panelist on here at their meta ventures combined. Like, from a pure profit perspective, like, honest to God, like, meta ventures are cool, but that is not where the money is. Like, that's where the cool status is, but the money is behind the scenes. It's people like
design and development will be the two biggest keys to propel a lot of our second layer stuff.
100%.
Yeah, well, I would argue there will be a lot of money in the meta venture still, that for those who do it right. It's a project will come along. Think about it. When outdoor decor shops become everybody can join it. There will be someone who comes along who does something really cool that's it's going to be their full-time job.
Sure, even the pet
Right.
rock has its day. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, holistically, if I'm talking to a group of people, like, yeah, there's going to be some people that crush it at an outdoor decor, but when everybody can manufacture it, like, there's the supply and the demand is going to be like what we see in other spaces. Secondary and like auxiliary systems, like what Droopy offers, those are going to be the real profit centers, because that supports all of the ecosystems. He's not pigeonholed into a single meta venture. He's literally, like Ted said, the backbone. Everybody goes to him. Like, that's where you want to be. That's where the real money is, honestly. Like, realistically.
And also, I just want to throw this out there, Tim, because you had talked about this a little bit. The meta ventures or a stream of revenue. What Droopy has done is leverage a budding skill set that he had, and then worked collaboratively with these other players to produce graphics for these meta ventures. And so he's done this repeatedly. Now he knows how the meta venture graphics show up and how the product shows up on page, and then how to align the graphic behind here in the shop signs. So he learned all this, and now he has another potential stream of revenue teaching people how to do that while he's doing it. So meta ventures are just the business name that has been come up through Upland. All the parts, all of this that goes into actually creating a meta venture, the assets, the Discord, the marketing, everybody has a certain skill set. So you don't have to be everything. Just do the one or two things and do those very, very well. And that's where you're going to find the niche. And you continually produce good quality work. People will come to you and utilize your services. That's where I feel like this comes in. That's where Droopy and the entirety of Meta Ventures fits in. You fit in somewhere. Start with somewhere, get in with a group, and work your way and work to your benefit, to your skill set.
And that's what's beautiful about our community, and the way that we're kind of grassroots building ourselves. The Discord is it's forcing us to look for each other and find these connections, because we're all passionate to build this stuff. This is all what we want. We want the success of Upland. We want to see the success of everyone's meta venture, so that I can help make more designs and I can teach people. The growth will be amazing. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm the clip.
Yeah. No, that was perfectly set up, Lando, too, by the way. Find your niche, work towards your skill set. Like, because you're right. If maybe you are a savvy business owner and like you could crush a meta venture. So I definitely don't want to discourage anybody who really wants to run a meta venture. But I think Uplando just absolutely nailed it. Find your niche, find the thing that you're passionate about, connect with the community.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, and don't think about what value can I get out of Upland. Think about what value can I add to Upland. And I think therein lies the key to success, to making money. I think that phrase alone kind of encompasses the success you will have. And that could even be networking, just adding value, giving free services. I mean, all of us who are known for making content, we're not making a lot of money doing that. We do that. It's a free service. And then, hey, look, now we could maybe have a more successful meta venture because we offered that free service. Right.
Yeah.
So what value can you add to the community? We're all in a community. Again, don't come at it with greed of what's in it for me. Think about what you can add, and therein lies your actual success.
If I can sort of butt in there, we all know that India is a big market for content creators, right? As you're a content creator yourself, and if someone's a content creator, if someone's a YouTuber, let's say they create videos or different forms of content, right? How can they sort of benefit from not only putting it on YouTube, but is there a path forward to integrating that within Metaverse? Do you see a path forward for your own content within the Metaverse?
Yeah, I bet
Yeah,
Elijah
I mean,
has
I
some
could
thoughts
maybe
on
see
that, 'cause
long
he's
term.
got that embedded already.
Sorry, what
Right?
was that, TMO?
Oh, I was saying, I bet Elijah knows that because, you know, embedding content, he's already doing it. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just it, like advertising, like if you have a following, if you're creating videos, like, and you're reaching an audience, no matter really what it is, advertising and then working, like, again, Elijah's showcasing it already. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to, yeah. I really like that. What can you do for, don't think about what Upland can do for you. What can you do for Upland? That, live by that, and it'll change everything. That's just really smart.
I
And
can say by
I just wanted
myself.
to jump in and oh, sorry about that, Mercedes. I just want to
No,
jump in and
okay.
talk about the you know, showcasing your stuff through YouTube and stuff in Upland. You know, that's one of our original core values, was to have the core of the Real Node LA be a YouTubers community. So we initially intended it to broadcast, and we still do. YouTube, each core property in the Real Node will have a YouTuber at the helm of that property. So we, you know, eventually there's going to be instances where if you click on a property in a certain area, that person's YouTube channel will come up, and you'll be able to, you know, interact with them. That'll add a level of immersion to it. And if you have your YouTube channel embedded into Upland, what would that do? That would definitely get you a lot more views and clicks and likes and such than you would typically have, because it's a dot, a green dot, a purple dot, you know, on your videos. So yeah, we definitely will be integrating all kinds of content, YouTube, 3D content, you know, whatever can be held into the internet, I intend to bring to the metaverse. Oh, good
I
things,
was
not
saying,
just, you know, bad things.
Yeah. And I think Musida wanted to add something. So Musida, it's over to you.
yes, I was saying that in my example, you don't even have to use the YouTube for yourself. Like, I never tried to sell something using my videos or my Instagram, nothing. I just produce things to upload. But every day I get something back just because I'm making this video. So I don't even have to use that for me. Like TML said, you don't have to think for you. If you think for the community, the return is almost guaranteed. I got a lot of things because of the videos that I make for free. I don't ask anything. And my best player of the year was because of that. I didn't make any, I'm not the best player so far, but a lot of players in Brazil were glad to see the videos, the tutorials that I make, and they came back saying, "Oh, thank you. You are gonna vote on you," and that's it. I make for the community, and the community made it back for me.
And as I'm not sure if you were in this room, you would have the same sort of reading of the room. But as you've been talking, everyone in this room have been listening much more interestingly as compared to the first panel. So I'm sure the room has a lot of questions. So any questions related to commercialization, commercial activity, meta ventures, go for it. You have a question? Please state your name and ask the question.
Yeah, I'm Tausif. I've been doing Upland for Hello everyone, I'm Tausif, and I've been doing the Upland since a couple of months now. I had a question regarding the metaverse. Wherein, for example, if I am having bunch of legits from different categories, such as NFLPA and FIFA or Block Explorer, do I have an option to bring different kind of meta ventures, okay, all together, and trade my legits into from those. And another counter question that I have, regarding the meta venture is that why do we have a a huge amount of delay after an application is being sent to the Upland team and getting the meta venture into action. So that is the other thing I would like to ask from the panel. Yeah, so these are my questions. Not a problem.
So he owns NFTs, NFLPA digits and stuff. What can he do with that? And the second part of the question is, why is the response after an application for meta ventures or shop delayed, and why can't he get a quicker response for that? So that's the questions. Over to anyone who wants to address those.
Maybe I'll step in just really quickly, and then anybody else who wants to follow up on this. One of the biggest asks from all of us, and I don't think it excludes no one on this panel or in the room, is the utility of these NFTs. That's what we want. We want a mechanism to do something with these, be it the NFLPA, the football, the soccer, even the collaboration with the first NFTs that were done on Wax between the blockchain heroes and Upland, bringing those NFTs through the portal, from Wax into the portal into the game. They sit there at this time. Nothing that otherwise we know of that those can be used for, either in-home decor or somehow showcasing those. A lot of time, Upland takes their time with the mechanics and the utility. So with those NFTs, what you can do right now is participate in the weekly challenges or the whatever it is that Upland gives you the opportunity to do with NFLPA and the soccer, the collections and things of that nature. The thing that I would encourage you to do, and I think Elijah has shown through the initiative as well as TML and others, that you have to create your own opportunity in Upland. That's part of it. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Everyone that's there now that is in this room, that is your starting of your networking for Upland. You are all interested in wanting to participate in a meta venture, a stream of revenue, being a broadcaster on social media, something that you're trying to find your niche with. Start with that networking group and that room in there, and you may find that there's a developer that has something to do with the gaming. You could do something as simple as going out and doing a browser-based game, and for the incentive to play, you might take one of the NFLPA legits that you have and offer that up as a prize for the top 3 players of the week. Anything of that nature that you can start with. A lot of times you have to create your own opportunity within that. So what you can do with the NFLPA and what you can do.
Upland, one second.
Yeah.
I am just gonna mute our friend. Right. There you
That's
go.
good.
Come
What you can
on,
do
we
with-
were enjoying that.
Hey, things happen. What you can do with those legits now, you may have some time before Upland gives you something that you can do, a pathway to do with them. Find something that you're good at. And again, you can trade these, you can acquire them. You never know what their value is going to be later on, opening up to bridge to other chains, other types of platforms to sell these. But I would really encourage you at this time to find a way to utilize those legits as, prizes. You can do those for incentivizing people to get into your program and your Discord. But I think those are some of the best ways to use legits. Now for the application period, it is taking a long time. It does. Decor, when it started, they were 2 years before their applications went through that they were actually able to start their actual meta venture. It takes some time. Before you know it, sometimes you're not even notified. Dog Romeo infamously woke up one day and his meta venture was on the map. So when you're looking at how with your assets that you have, it's not just in the box of Upland. You can utilize those in many different ways. So that's, anybody wants to expound upon that, go right ahead.
Absolutely. Also, we are almost nearing the end of this panel. So I am gonna essentially ask if anyone else has any questions. Yeah, go for it.
So my question is, of course, Upland is providing us opportunity for better ventures, but they're going to ask payback, right? So how it's working out? It's tough to get customers to buy and sell, but Upland is going to make money out of it from you. So is it really profitable in that sense? Like if you get 5%, you're paying Upland something, and I see a sort of shop together something like that, 10, 20 now in San Francisco and say that in Manhattan. So how are we actually making money out of it, or is it going less?
Okay. Before you take this question, that is Monisham from Discord. So let's try to keep it a bit brief because I see the room is getting towards the end of their attention span. Let's call it that. And then I believe you guys can reach out on Discord and discuss it further. But anyone, Aplado or anyone else who wants to take this.
What was the question?
How do you break even with the rent that you need to give Upland for owning a MetaVentures? Because you need to make a payment every month, right, to MetaVent and to Upland. So how do you make it work that you can essentially make that money out and make it a profitable venture?
Yeah, and this is where I will say Upland is just like the real world economy. It's a mirror of what we experience in the real world in the digital world. So owning a business isn't for everybody, right? Like how many people are in the world and how many businesses are there actually? A MetaVenture is a business in the metaverse. A lot of people in the real world make more money on real estate than a business, like your average person, right? And so that's where I think more people, your average player in the game will probably do best on their Upland real estate investments, and there's going to be less people who are successful with MetaVentures. And even with mine, with NFLPA and having the marketing behind it, being able to have a YouTube channel where I was able to drive traffic to it. Yes, I've been able to make a pretty good amount, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. It all depends on what Upland has going on. Musita was talking about, during the FIFA contest, that's when he was able to sell more FIFA block explorers and build on that. When it was announced that collections for NFLPA are going to come and you can actually make a little bit of residual income, that's when I made the most money. And I made something around like 2 million UPX that month. And I actually even sold a lot for USD. I sold, but again, I had to acquire all those. That was just revenue. That was not profit, so maybe I'm selling them for like double what I paid for them. So I made on average or maybe I made like 1 million UPX roughly that month. So, but now, that there's not a lot of hype around NFLPA legits. I maybe don't make hardly any this month, like I maybe have like on average 3 items sell a day. That's not very much profit in that, because most of them are other people's items and I'm only making 5% or whatever. So sometimes the fee is actually more than what I made that month.
Doyle,
honestly.
What's the most you spent on a fee? Like what, every MetaVenture has a cost each month. If you wouldn't mind telling us what your highest fee has been. I think mine's been maybe 3,000 UPX is the highest fee I've ever paid for my monthly shop dues. How about yourself?
Oh, that I've had to pay for the fee?
To keep your MetaVenture open, it's a monthly
keep
fee.
it open?
What's your monthly
Yeah.
fee?
I want to say like a couple thousand, 2,000 or 3,000. Yeah, somewhere around there.
So it's really reasonable, that part of it, for the person that was asking. The monthly fee you pay Upland is about $2 to $5 US at most, right?
Well, we do know that as more shops become available, the fees actually go up the more competitive it gets, right? So it's, some of us maybe were lucky to be in early to get, you know, and that's because we invested heavily in block explorers and NFLPA legits that we were able to have that shop. But I'm not sure, but the fees could get higher than the average shop makes in the future. And I think that's going to weed some of the people out, and it's also going to allow some of the people who are really successful to rise to the top. So, and that's what a good economy does, right? That's like the invisible hand. That's the whole economic principles that we all follow. Upland is a real economy, just like the, you know, the economy of the real world.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap up this panel? Yes, please. Over to you. Yeah.
My name is Shakti Dubey, and I'm a buddy blockchain developer. So, like panelists just now were talking about how to embed YouTube videos in Upland so that they can get more attraction for their YouTube channels, and the content creators get more attraction for them. So I just had the doubt that do we have to go through some oracles to make that happen, or there will be some features that Upland has to make that possible? That's my question.
Sure. Does anyone want to take it?
Could you repeat it?
Basically, he's asking, does he need to go through a process in order to monetize YouTube videos, right?
Embed YouTube videos in Upland.
Are there any API calls that he could use? Are there any way that he can sort of get those videos, turn it into maybe an NFT on a wax, and then bring it within Upland? Maybe Elijah can take that if Elijah wants to.
Sure, I think I'd be glad to answer that, man. I think and that's very creative. The cool thing about Upland is that anything that you can imagine, you can almost do as long as you press forward. So if you can imagine yourself making videos and turning them into, minting them into NFTs, and then creating some sort of experience or gallery where you're selling these videos as NFTs in the gallery on Wax blockchain or Ethereum OpenSea, I can definitely see that happening. So you know, whatever idea you come up with, man, just hold on to it. Ask people that are doing things. You know, don't give up on the idea. You know, don't let anybody talk you out of the idea, but just ask different people so they can give you incremental steps to make sure it happens. Because just the same as you could sell those videos in the real world, you could definitely sell them in the metaverse. And there's not a lot of people selling video content, so you would, you know, definitely take an early step in that field, you know. So definitely go with that.
Absolutely. Any final, does that answer your question? Yeah, absolutely. Any final questions? No. All right. With that, that brings us to the most awaited session of this evening. So if I can request everyone to open up their phones, and I'll give a moment for everyone and the panelists, if you would like to. I would like all of you to go on Twitter. You can go on Twitter. For the panelists, I am going to share my screen so you can see what's about to happen. Everyone has their phones out, Twitter? Go on the Metaverse Street Journal. You can type the Metaverse Street Journal. I'll share it with you in a moment. And here it is. I just tweeted it. You can watch it in your own time.
Hi, everybody in India. X won the game.
Okay.
Gamer here, head of community at
Okay. One moment, guys. Sorry about that.
Hi, everybody in India. X1 the Gamer here, head of community at Upland, and just want to say thank you for being a part of the community and thank you for attending today's meetup. I wish I could be there one day. Would be awesome. Would love to see India come into Upland, open up the country. I think it would be a blast. I think the community would love it. Thank you very much for all you do. Thank you for being a part of the community. Have fun, and I'll see you guys in Upland.
Hello, Uplanders, or maybe to be Uplanders. I'm very excited that we have our first meetup there in Mumbai. Tan, thank you very much for setting this up. For those who don't know me, I'm Dirk, one of the co-founders of Upland. We created Upland roughly 4 years ago, and we always said from day one, community, community, community. It's very important because we believe in Web3, everything is created bottom up and not just, top down by people. So hopefully you enjoy Upland the way it is today. We have so many more plans what we're going to do in the future, right? And today you can enjoy meta ventures, you can do car racing, you can do treasure hunts. Of course, we have the competitive city openings, which are always very exciting. Yeah, maybe some of you I might see in the next Genesis weeks, which we're going to have in June again. Or maybe one day we're going to open up India. But that depends that we find a good partner there, because we always say we need to find good partners to open up new cities. So enjoy your evening and hope to meet you in person. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, with that, we can all start the rumor that India is opening soon. Let's start the rumor that India is opening soon. But I hope everyone got to see that video. I've posted it on my Twitter. It's going to be uploaded everywhere else. I would personally like to thank all the panelists. Tyler, thank me later, Elijah, Rosita. I am not sure if Drupi is still here. Okay, Drupi is still here. Uplando, everyone, thank you so very much for joining us today. Hopefully this is not the last India meetup, and hopefully we're going to have it in other cities such as Bangalore or Delhi or Chennai. Sorry? Mumbai should be launched first, but okay, that's the community that's saying that Mumbai should be launched first. But let's hope there is more community-led meetups in other countries, in other cities, and we can then be on the Zoom side of things and see these things. And as Dirk always says, it's community, 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 as we heard, and let's try to make it more of a community-centric development. Let's try to not push everything on Upland and try to grow Upland ourselves as well. It's not only about pushing someone to put money into it. It's all about educating as well. So this entire meetup is more of an educational meetup rather than you put money into Upland, you put money into, because that's not how we do things. So that is my parting message. If anyone in the panel has a parting message for the audience here in Mumbai, feel free to go for it.
Thanks for putting this together, Tim. We appreciate it so very much. Everybody that's there, this is your starting network. Work with the people that are in the room, and you can always reach out to everybody on Discord. So thank you all. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey, everybody in Mumbai, thank you for having us here. I hope to see y'all in the Metaverse. The Metaverse space is growing, so hopefully we'll see you in there. And when you do come in, give me a holler. I'm over in El Sereno, Los Angeles, in the real node, LA. So I hope to see y'all in there.
We hope to see you in Mumbai, Elijah. You must come to Mumbai.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Anyone else has any parting messages? Thank me later, I think, has something to say. No?
Maybe.
Okay then. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, great. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank me later, and everyone else as well. Hopefully we'll connect within Upland Metaverse and other spaces. And thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Are we off? You off? Dad, I gotta know. What was that sound? You were dropping a deuce.
I was up till 6 in the morning. I turned on the phone and saw this was happening. I'm just waking up.
The sound.
Waking up
No,
sound.
you were, and some sounds came through.
It was a waking up sound. A waking up
It
sound.
was
Oh, wait. Oh, it was,
Yes.
I was waiting for a plop. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no.
They're like, we're still live.